Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Wrestling Unlimited as it's a Monday. And I don't have the Twitch chat up because I accidentally just clicked the button to close it. We're good now. I was like, where'd the Twitch chat go? And I realized when I switched my notes to the other screen, it accidentally closed the Twitch chat. But it's Monday. Tonight was Monday Night Raw. And I thought Raw was a pretty good show. It was very easy to watch. It set up a bunch of things for Backlash coming up in just a couple of weeks. And yeah, here's the thing. All weekend, and I'm not trying to be that guy. We had we need whoever's going to be at Raw to take over the show and chant for Kyrie. We need to have, we want Kyrie trending. Hashtag Kyrie saying trending on Twitter throughout all of Raw. I didn't see any of that. So to the, I guess you would say casual wrestling fan or the majority of wrestling fans, yes, people got released and it sucks, but they're not going to let it consume them. They're not going to let that, how do I say it, stop or hinder or hurt their, what's the word I'm looking for, enjoyment of being at the show or watching the show at home just to get a reaction on social media. Oh, I'm going to be part of this trending tweet, this trending hashtag. And it wasn't even a trending hashtag. You guys don't know, and I'm just going to say this one thing, and that's it. How many people I saw tweeting about the releases this weekend that you can so easily tell that they were only tweeting about the releases because they knew they would get engagement for their Twitter, that they would get people to comment on their Facebook post. It was super easy to tell that that was the only reason that they were tweeting or posting on Facebook about the releases. Because they knew if they said certain words a certain way, it would get people to comment. It would get people to retweet them. It would get people to quote tweet them, whether it made them look bad or not. I saw quite a few of those this weekend. People used the releases for their own monetary value potentially. And we don't even know how many of these Facebook accounts and how many of these Twitter accounts are even monetized anyways. So that's the other thing. But we'll see where that all does go to. It's, I want to say July 24th, when any of the main roster stars that were released are free to go anywhere else. So we'll see how that all does play out. Again, like I said, it's very unfortunate that anybody did lose their job, but it's a numbers game. I said it over the weekend. We see this in football. We see this in NASCAR. We see this in all sports. Like in football, and I guess it's not as big of a deal because cuts are coming. But before the main season starts, you have preseason and you got these big bloated rosters. But then when the actual season starts, the 18-week season, you have to cut that big bloated roster down to 52. So people are going to get cut. Whether they get cut and just signed to the practice roster or cut all together is the thing. Like goddamn, what's his name? Gable Steveson. He was on the Giants, signed and everything last year, and then when it came time to cut down to 52, he was cut out of there, let go, bye-bye. See it in NASCAR all the time. And it's the same reasons we see it in NASCAR all the time, where a driver's driving for a team and they say, oh, your contract's not up at the end of the year, but we're letting you go anyways. We see it all the time because a new, fresh, hotter driver is coming up and they need a spot for him. Like we saw it this year with Daniel Suarez and Connor Zilic. They wanted to bring Connor Zilic up, and they were like, oh, Suarez, you're out of here. And we see it in the Xfinity series, or now the O'Reilly series, all the time as well, where people are signed to deals in the O'Reilly series, and they're like, you're not performing the way we want, you're out. We saw it with damn Hailie Deegan a couple of years ago with AM Racing, where, she got one good finish at Talladega. The rest of them were not all that great. And they're like, nope, you're the problem. We're cutting you. We're putting other people in the car. And then they put guys like Joey Logano and Josh Berry in that car, and it didn't even run any better. So it wasn't Hailie Deegan as the problem. It was the team. Then the next year they put Harrison. I'm not even going to get into any of this. Put Harrison Burton in the car, and they almost make the playoffs, and they're still not much better. It's like, that's one thing that gets me. Trust me, I can talk about NASCAR and opportunities and people getting cut from rides and not getting certain rides and pay to play. It's a whole thing over in that realm, which I'll be at this weekend going to the NASCAR races at Texas Motor Speedway. But anyways, People getting cut in WWE is not just a WWE thing. It's across the board in all sports. And it's also not the doing of the evil TKO, like so many people said over the weekend. It's been happening for years. Vince was cutting people all the time. I mean, one year Vince did like 2 or 3 rounds of cuts. So, just saying. It happens in all forms of sports and entertainment. Hell, Disney just let go of 1,000 people. Where's all the uproar there? I saw tweets about it for like a day. And it was just because they were getting the news out there. Oh, 1,000 people lost their jobs at Disney. Disney cut 1,000 people. The whole VFX team at Marvel. And then after like a day or two, nothing. So, but yeah, all the wrestling people that are mad online, all the Twitter accounts looking for engagement, yelling at their cameras. Oh, Triple H fucked up. Triple H let Kyrie go before the story was over because he never planned on giving us a finish. Yeah, fuck all of you. Like, come on, people. But with all of that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of 2 different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here for Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, you can help us out over on YouTube at the subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos, when we go live, and when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get early access to our graphics tutorials, our graphics packages, a bag section name, emotes and emojis that you can use in the live chat, and so much more. Also, you can get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, or you're buying an old game, and you're claiming a free game, or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PWU Unlimited, at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. With that, we do have some bit donations here to read really fast. The Esports Gaming Rules says, I'm happy that Triple H is going to remain WWE Chief Content Officer, despite having some critics in the IWC. What does that mean? Brian Gerwitz's dream of taking the job, as some fans and The Rock wanted, is finished. Well, first off, I don't know where you got the whole, it was Brian Gerwitz's dream to have that job. I've never once heard him say that. I didn't see him write that anywhere in his book. So I don't know where you got that from, Esports Gaming Rules, but I've never seen Brian Gerwitz even hint that his dream is to run WWE and be in charge of creative. Never seen or heard that before. So yeah, some fans, and The Rock wanted is finished. I don't know what that means. Some fans and The Rock wanted is finished. I don't know what that means. You also said, I fell asleep a couple times during Raw, but I'm glad Asuka versus Io is happening at WWE Backlash Tampa, just like reported. But we know there are going to be, we want Kyrie chants because it is the most impactful release, and it going to get louder in Pirate City, aka Kyrie City of Tampa Bay. Well, if there was going to be, we want Kyrie chants, they would have been tonight. And we didn't hear a single one. Not a single one. Now, I get what you're saying, where for that match, we could hear some. If we do, it's probably going to be faint. It's probably not going to be that big of a deal. Just going to say it. He says, heard NASCAR got a new CEO. Yes. So the old CEO, Jim France, did step down. Old guy, took over from his dad, Bill France. He stepped down, and Steve O'Donnell was next in line. Steve O'Donnell's been with NASCAR since, I want to say, 1996. He started as an assistant, one of the guys that would hand out hats in Victory Lane when they're taking all the photos after a win. And he just worked his way up the ranks in NASCAR, and he is now the new CEO. Ben Kennedy, I want to say grandson of Jim France or Brian France. I can't remember which one, but he is now the new COO. So really cool stuff there in NASCAR. And I think Steve O'Donnell is going to do a great job as the CEO. Just from, the stuff that he's been talking about recently, even before he had that role or even knew that it was coming up for him to get that role, because the Jim France stepping down thing kind of came as a surprise to many. But no, I think this is going to be a really, really, really good move for NASCAR. Esports Gaming Rule says, who do you think win the battle of the generational battle of Samoan bloodline, Jacob or Roman Reigns? That was a mouthful, but it's going to be Roman. They're not putting this title on Roman, and Roman going after Mania saying, I'm going to be around all summer. You have to make room for my ass, for him to lose the title as first defense. Would I love to see Jacob Fatu with the title? Hell yeah. Hell to the yeah. But I just, I don't see it happening. I don't see Jacob beating Roman. That's the thing. I don't see Jacob beating Roman, at least not right now. But with all of that, Banks says, I heard some chants during EO and Becky. Gotcha. See, I didn't hear any. Granted, I was also working on my Backlash graphics at the same time, so maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. But like you said, wasn't super loud. Yeah. And I didn't see anybody tweeting about him either. And again, maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I was making sure because I made those posts right before we went live about the Backlash matches that were announced. And for some reason, it looked like one of them didn't post on Instagram, but I think all three are good now. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Do. Oh, okay. Here we go. So let's pull this up really fast. As far as We Want Kyrie. So I posted this on Instagram, of course. 2 seconds to switch this over. Show the screen. Oh, that's the wrong screen. Here we go. Why won't it go? There we go. I posted this one, Io Sky versus Asuka. Backlash is set. We want Kyrie. We want Kyrie. So there are some people out there doing the We Want Kyrie, but again, I'm not seeing much of it. We're all people up in arms saying that it's going to take over. I'm not seeing much of it. As far as Monday Night Raw does go, Roman Reigns and the Usos started off with a pre-tape video that was pretty interesting. It was like a cold open, I guess you would say. Jimmy, Jay, and Roman were sitting at a table. Roman said that the past was the past, and that's where we want to leave it, in the past, because they were blood, and they were the only ones that they could trust. He wanted their thoughts because he wasn't sure where Jacob was actually coming from with this challenge. Reigns told everybody that they had 2 years to climb the mountain. But after all that time, it was Roman himself who climbed the mountain and won the title. Now, Fatu wants to try and take it from him. Jimmy understood where Fatu's coming from. He understood Fatu wanted to upgrade his household, but it shouldn't come at the expense of Roman. Jay said Fatu's dangerous. He dismantled the MFTs on SmackDown by himself, single-handedly. He left Fatu on his own for a reason. If Fatu beats Roman, he would take everything. Jay said this couldn't all be about respect. There has to be consequences. Roman said, you know what, Jay, you're right. They weren't giving out charity here. Reigns said that he would sit on it and address it all later in the night. The three of them then put their hands together in the middle of this table, and Roman said, we are the first family. So are they not the bloodline anymore? Are they now called the first family? That's an interesting one. We're the first family. Moving forward, Seth Rollins did come out and technically kick off the show. Came out and said, everything's Braun Breaker's fault for everything currently going on, him not being the champion, him losing to Gunther, and so forth. Rollins took credit for Breaker having 9 staples in the back of his head and called him out. Breaker enters with Paul Heyman. Rollins said that he gave Breaker the world presented to him on a silver platter, but Breaker repaid him by taking everything away from him. Breaker was the reason that Rollins had to forfeit the title, the reason he didn't main event WrestleMania, and the reason he lost on that show. Rollins asked Breaker, how do you benefit from all of that? Breaker asked Rollins what he gave to him in the first place. What he gave to him, what he gave to Bronson Reed. It was the two of them putting everything on the line for Seth, being there, putting out his fires week after week after week, fighting his battles every single week. Breaker and Reed had to sit in the background as Rollins started Raw every week while repeating the same thing over and over again. Breaker held his nose and did a nasally impression of Seth Rollins as usual opened, which actually was pretty good. Breaker said he never needed Rollins. He only needed Paul Heyman. Seth laughed. He's like, that guy? You needed that guy? Rollins said he was the world champion 2 years ago and wanted to fight the best in the world. He called Shawn Michaels so he could get the best from NXT, and Michaels told him to call up Braun Breaker. Rollins was on board. Last year, Heyman asked Rollins to take Breaker under his wing. Rollins was on board with it too, because under his tutelage, he knew that he could make Braun Breaker the biggest star in this industry. Rollins has seen athletes of all disciplines come and go over the years. His 14 years in this company. But Breaker is something different, more unique than anybody else. He had everything to be a big star, the biggest star in this industry. Everything except the most important thing. And Orton points to his head, basically saying, you got no brains, kid. Rollins knew what it was like to be 28 years old, a young cat coming into this company thinking you could take this business on your shoulders and take it all. But he knew what it was to bet on himself and make decisions that people wouldn't be happy with. The difference between them was that Breaker tried. Rollins succeeded. Rollins took chances that got him in main events, while Breaker took chances and wound up with Austin Theory and Logan Paul at dinner on a private jet, and a happy ending from Paul Heyman. Rollins told Breaker, you ain't ready. Breaker said that he was well on his way to becoming the main eventer, and he's going to do it without Seth Rollins. He said Rollins' body and mind couldn't handle it anymore, and his shoulder couldn't handle the weight of the strap on top of it. Breaker admitted that he came up short in his world title match against CM Punk, but he could sleep at night knowing that he lost to the best in the world rather than to someone who self-proclaimed it. Breaker knew Rollins was a future WWE Hall of Famer, but he was also the very best in the world at being, number 2. Rollins responded by saying, it's pretty good, baby Steiner. Rollins wondered if Breaker came up with that on his own or if he had to call Big Papa Pump for some hookup. Rollins challenged Breaker to a match at Backlash to see if he can really prove himself and see if he can really be number 1. Rollins told Breaker, Steiner, you ain't even second. He's like, you ain't even number 2 in your family. It was great. These two going back and forth. It was a little long. It was like 20 minutes, so it was long. But I thought it was really good on both ends. Seth's always great on the mic, and Braun Breaker was way better than expected on the promo for this one. Like, we've seen him cut some good promos. It's usually those super fiery ones where he's just kind of yelling and he's like, "Ah, bulldog." But this one was like more subdued-ish. He was calmer. He was getting his point across. Like, this was a good Braun Breaker promo. We see some people arriving at the building, including Stephanie Vicaire, and then all of a sudden, she's attacked by Raquel Rodriguez. Apparently, she's injured or something, because this was an actual injury angle. They shoved an equipment box into her, and then later on, Michael Cole said that she suffered an AC joint injury in her shoulder, and she's going to be out for some time. It looks like Stephanie Vicaire might actually be injured, and they did an injury angle tonight. Liv told her after she was attacked, now this is over, because this is my championship. Then we had Penta versus Rusev. I still am not sure if this was supposed to be for the title or not. But Ethan Page came out before the match started. Penta hit a springboard move early. Rusev was about to kick him out of the air. Can't speak right now with the Machka kick, but Penta knew it was coming and held onto the top rope longer to avoid it. Rusev then whiffed on the kick, and Penta caught him with the schoolboy, rolled him up. Not that long of a match, like 7 minutes, and that's the only thing that really happened. I feel like that's all I got for my notes. I feel like it was a nothing happening match, unfortunately. Afterwards, Rusev was annoyed, so he attacked Penta. Ethan Page watched on from ringside, then joined in on the attack. After Penta fought back, Page decked him from behind. Rusev and Page then put the boots to Penta before Javon Evans would run out and make the save. Again, it was a 7-minute match, and that's all I got. It was just a nothing happening, whatever match. Now we got a commercial for the Hulk Hogan documentary. I have watched it. It's pretty good. We'll say it's a little not light on content because it's 4 freaking hours. It's 4-hour-long episodes. But they go pretty soft on Hulk at times in this. I will just say. They do go kind of soft on him. They're a little easy on him. But it is interesting that it's got all new Hulk Hogan interview content because 3 months before he died, they were literally filming this documentary. And they show in the documentary at the end, or towards the end, where they're like, all right, I think we can wrap for the day. I think we got everything we might need. And Hulk's like, yeah, we're good. They're like, yeah, we'll go. We'll put this all together. And if we do need anything else, we'll give you a call and set up to do any more that we need. So basically they were like, we think we got everything, which they did technically, I guess. And told Hogan, hey, if we need you for anything else, we'll let you know. If, film any more content. And 3 months later, he passed. So, like, they actually got a full documentary here. Not just like, when you see those old WWE documentaries and they're like, oh, we don't want to call this person for, an interview. So we'll take a clip of them from 2014 and just splice it in here because they're kind of talking about this. Or, oh, we're an NWO documentary. Oh, we need Scott Hall. We'll get an old Scott Hall interview and just slice this in. Like, you could tell some of those where you're like, oh, I've seen this interview used about 20 times. I've seen that interview used 10 times. I've seen that interview with The Rock about 5 to 10 times. So, but yeah, no, the Hogan documentary is actually pretty good. If I do say so myself, I recommendable. I would recommend it. Like, if you've got, fortunately, I would say it's more of a, you're working on something, put it on in the background. Or if you're going to bed, put it on, and or if you just want to learn more about Hogan's personal life, because you do learn more about his personal life in that documentary. Also, Brooke was not happy with the documentary because she was not really in it. They talk about him having a daughter. They mention Brooke at times, but Nick's all over this thing. Nick is interviewed for this thing. And I don't know. She went on Bubba Love Sponge and said she wasn't happy with it, especially with that part of it. But I don't know if they asked her to be in it, if she turned them down. I have no clue because there's no new interviews. There's no interviews at all with Brooke. There's interviews with Nick, Terry, Hulk Hogan, Linda, his first wife, and his newest wife. So his middle wife, Jennifer, I think her name was, she's not in this at all. It goes from he was with Linda, him and Linda split. Years later, he found this new wife. There we go. Nothing about the middle wife. No Grande Americano cut a promo during the break, basically talking about the upcoming Mask versus Mask match in AAA. Then, for some reason, they re-aired one of the clips of Danhausen and Miz's house where he steals the Slammy. But I'm like, we resolved that on SmackDown. Why are we still showing this? Becky Lynch then came out for a promo. Bang says, didn't she separate herself from Hogan, though? Well, yes and no. Because we learned some things in this documentary where she was being very petty to Hulk. Very petty to him as far as, like, they were going through their divorce. She was allowed to stay at the house. He had to move. And so we got a beach house, like, down the road, but on the same beach. And her 19-year-old boyfriend would take his boat out in the morning and slowly scoot by his place just so she can show I'm with my younger man. Like, she was a bitch. She was a bitch to him during the divorce. She literally said, I would have him start up the boat, drive it over past Terry's house, and we would slowly go past him because we knew he would sit out on his back porch, drink his coffee in the morning or whatever, and flaunt us together in front of him, basically. And I was like, damn. And she admitted all that, too. Admittedly put that out there. But that's the whole thing, because she thought that guy was like 24, 25, and then said, let's go get... It's the whole thing. She goes, yeah, I was with this guy that apparently went to school with my kids, and I thought he was like 24, 25, and then when I offered him a drink, he said, I can't have that because I'm only 19. What? So, yeah, that's a thing. That was a thing. Anyways, Becky Lynch came out with a promo. Lynch said that she finally got rid of AJ Lee and ended her horrible title reign. She put gold around her waist and the waist of somebody who deserves it. She's the first 3-time Women's Intercontinental Champion, and she did that at Mania, making history. She claimed that she was coming for Undertaker's record at Next. What record, though? She undefeated at Mania? I don't know. She keeps on talking about, she was in front of 50,000 fans, and Mania got 5 stars, this, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of fucking talking. After we already had the 20-minute talking segment to open the show, and more damn talking from Becky here. Basically, Becky in the end says, I want to fight somebody. I want to put my title on the line against somebody new and shiny. I want to fight someone. And then out she goes, I'll issue an open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. And out came Io Sky. And Becky goes, no. I said somebody new and shiny. Not you. You're not new. And it's like, well, technically, Io is new to Becky because I don't think they've ever fought before. So he's not in a singles match. And so Io comes down there and takes the challenge. And Becky's like, yeah, I don't know about this. Weren't you just in a tag team with Rhea Ripley? I want to fight the Shawn Michaels, not the Marty Jannetty of a team. And so basically that pissed off Sky, so she slapped Becky. And then Lynch bailed, but before she can get too far away, Adam Pearce came out and said, I like this idea. You want to issue an open challenge? Io wants to accept? It's official. So, remember, guys, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat or donating Twitch bits on Twitch. We did get this Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch versus Io Sky. What about 13 and a half minutes? Michael Cole mentioned Sky and Ripley beating the Kabuki Warriors last week, which is kind of interesting because the Kabuki Warriors are no longer a thing. He said that Asuka was mad about that. Corey Graves said that Asuka was so upset that we wouldn't be seeing her former pupil for. Let me really reiterate this. Corey Graves said Asuka was so upset that we wouldn't be seeing her former pupil for a long time. Basically saying Kairi's gone. Lynch then blindsided Sky before the match began. She fought her off and fought around ringside. The match began once they both re-entered the ring. They were going back and forth. No one really getting a good advantage. And then Sky got the better of Becky and hit her with a powerbomb outside the ring. She had submission attempts after a commercial break. Or actually during a break. After the break, though, Lynch hit a superplex and a float over into a DDT for a 2. Sky hit her turn into DDT at one point, went for a moonsault, but Lynch got her feet up and hit a manhandle slam for a near fall. Sky followed this up later with an acai moonsault. As the ref, which was not Jessica Carr this time, checked on Lynch, Asuka ran down and tripped Io Sky on the apron off the ropes. The ref then had to play dumb like she didn't see it, which whatever. She couldn't see Asuka standing nearby. Like, what happened? What? I was dealing with that girl and new person here and she's down. What? Lynch then took advantage and hit the manhandle slam and pinned her 1, 2, 3. So, yeah. Becky does retain with, help from Asuka. He says that was not a Triple H call. What was not a Triple H call? And then he says, when can Triple H break free of TKO? Why would he want to leave TKO? Triple H just signed a new contract extension to remain with the company. You know, say COO chief or CCO, chief content officer, for a very long time, guy. Well, first off, if you're talking about the referee tonight, that was not Jessica Carr. So after the match, Asuka attacked Kairi Sane. Io Sky got Kairi on the brain. Asuka then put her in the Asuka lock. And Sky tapped out. Asuka stood tall. So I thought Io and Becky worked very well together. I thought this was a good back and forth match. Even with the, what's the word I'm looking for? The Asuka interference. Corey, all I'm going to say is WWE top executives got a word that, hey, you need to make cuts. Nick Khan, Triple H, and Talent Relations made those cuts. They chose who to cut. This was not an Ari Emanuel. It's not a Mark Shapiro call. They did not say, cut Kairi Sane. Cut Tyra Mensah Stock. Go cut Andre Chase and Zelina and Alistair. No, they just, according to different reports that have come out over the weekend and today, Triple H, Nick Khan, and the top people in WWE were told, you got to make some cuts. And they made the cuts. The cuts came from Triple H, Nick Khan, and Talent Relations. No one higher than them at TKO. So Chad Gable, Marcano, approached Rey Mysterio and asked if he got my back against the other El Grande in the mask versus mask match. And Rey's like, no. He's like, oh, so you're on his side? And Rey's like, I'm not on anybody's side. All I want is for the two of you to respect Lucha Libre. Mysterio said something in Spanish. I don't know what. El Grande, Americano, Rayo, and Bravo then showed up. El Grande spoke to Mysterio in Spanish, but Gable told him, mind your business, which is kind of funny the way he said it. They then yelled at each other until Mysterio was like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not choosing sides. And then we basically learned we're getting El Grande versus Rey. So we're talking about so many advertisements on what? Byron Saxton tried interviewing the Usos, but they were cut off by LA Knight, basically saying, oh, what were you doing at that table with Roman? He was lackeys again. He's the head of the table, and you guys sitting under him. You guys can do stuff for yourself. Jay, you're a former world champion that you won on your own. Jimmy, you have all the potential to be a champion as well. You don't need to be sitting under Roman yet again. You know what he did last time. The Usos said, this is family business. Knight told them that the power they had under the bloodline, it all eventually corrupts and crumbles. So I don't know where that's leading to, but LA Knight versus an Uso? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe LA versus Jay? Then we had Joe Hendry. It was fine. This is all right. This is kind of just there. Joe Hendry came out and he sang a song about having to make a big decision. He's wrestled at WrestleMania and he's been in NXT as a champion and all these different things, but he came to the main roster and got to choose where he went, and he chose to sign with Raw. He talks about the OTC, he talks about Obafemi, and then he says, but one thing that we need to do is fire Logan Paul. Fire Logan Paul. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where the hell's this come from? Have we seen, chat, let me know, anything with Logan Paul and Joe Hendry? Because this just felt so random, so out of place, and just so, what? They're singing a song about firing Logan Paul. And then Michael Cole thinks he's goddamn Booker, so he's going to sing along. All of a sudden we just hear, no, 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 it ain't happening. I'm unfireable. And it's Logan Paul and Austin Theory coming out. Logan Paul just screaming his head off. Theory then finally cut the promo and talked about how Joe Hendry's a nothing. They got to wrestle at WrestleMania on ESPN. And Joe Hendry's like, yeah, when you were a primetime loser. Theory then shoved a microphone into Henry's chest. Hendry then decked him with a clothesline and tackled Paul into the corner, but the numbers were too much and the Vision swarmed him before the Street Profits would run down and make the save. He cleared house, and then they all celebrated. The Street Profits wave their hands from side to side, yeah, because they want the smoke. They want the smoke. Anyways, celebrated with Joe Hendry, and yeah, the segment was kind of just there. It was okay. It wasn't horrible or bad or anything, but now second week in a row that we've seen Street Profits coming after the tag champs, but not doing anything to earn it. Backstage, Grayson Waller was complaining to Adam Pearce about not getting an opportunity. Not with Kofi, though. He's all by himself. So is that a done thing? Him in the New Day? Anyways, he's talking about, I want opportunities, and you're giving other people opportunities. Who do you think should get an opportunity over me? And that Pearce is like, oh, Obafemi. He's like, what about Obafemi? Oh, Obafemi doesn't deserve anything. He's Obo-rated. He's like, no, Obafemi. Behind you. And Femi was like, overrated, huh? Well, I beat Brock Lesnar to end his career. Waller was then like, what's going on here? And he's like, you think I'm overrated? You want an opportunity? Opportunity to fight me. Fight me tonight. And Grace Waller's like, that's not what I asked for. That's not what I wanted. And basically, Pearce was like, yep, you asked for an opportunity. Your opportunity is Oba. And it is official. James, we don't know what that is. I'm just going to address this one time and one time only. AEW filed a trademark for the term Royal Redemption, which if you look at the trademark, it is for a TV show or pay-per-view or whatever you want to use it for. So you got stupid idiots on Twitter going, oh, that's AEW's Royal Rumble. What? First off, for people to say that they need their own Royal Rumble, well, that's dumb. They don't need a Royal Rumble. They already have something similar to a Royal Rumble. Actually, two things. Casino Gauntlet and the Casino Battle Royal. They don't need a Royal Rumble pay-per-view because that's the last thing that they would need is to be copying WWE. They don't need to be copying WWE. They need to be doing their own things like the Casino Gauntlet, like the Casino Battle Royal. You can take concepts and reiterate them to your own, like they do with Blood and Guts for War Games. Or I guess you could say the Casino Battle Royal for their Royal Rumble. But it's like they don't need a Royal Rumble. And so like James here saying, tell me reacting of Tony Khan announces new Royal Redemption, a copying WWE Royal Rumble. Well, first off, Tony Khan never announced anything to do with Royal Redemption unless he did like during Raw tonight and I didn't see it. The only reason we know about Royal Redemption is because the trademark was filed. But to say Tony announced Royal Redemption, that's not true. Let's go to Twitter really fast to see if I missed something. Redemption. Royal Redemption. Yeah, it's just Royal Redemption. Entertainment in the nature of a wrestling contest, which means a show. But then you've got people on Twitter going, oh, could this be their July pay-per-view? Their version of the Royal Rumble before All In? Like, where would you get that from? And then you got people like making fake AI logos of it as well. Like, come on, people. You're just making stuff up. Like, the trademark's not made up. It's not. But saying that it's their Royal Rumble just because the name Royal, like, really? Really? So anytime any wrestling company wants to run a show that says Royal, it's got to be a WWE Royal Rumble knockoff? That's no. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't think it's got anything to do with copying WWE. Tony just came up with a name and trademarked it. And here's the other thing. How many times has Tony Khan trademarked something that he ends up not using, but you trademark it just in case? Like, that's the other thing, people. 1 second. I just got a message I need to look at really fast. Gotcha. Okay. But moving forward, Street Profits, welcome. This is funny. They welcome Joe Hendry to Raw, and they're like, "You're on Raw, so you need to do something about that blue shirt." So what? Just because you're on Raw, you can't wear blue? Can't wear blue. And then he walks up going, "I think I got something." We're gonna get Joe Hendry in a red shirt every week now? I hope not. I like the blue. The blue looks good on him. Seth Rollins then approaches. This was a little awkward. He approaches the Street Profits, and they're kind of like they're annoyed with him for some reason. And Seth goes, "So about last week," and Montez just goes, "Excuse me, no. You want to make this all about you again? All about this ain't about you at all. We want the tag titles. We want to smoke. We're coming for the vision. Bye." What? First off, Seth didn't say anything about himself. He was just like, "About last week," and then they went off on him. They're supposed to be the baby faces. What the fuck? Weird. Like, very weird. Then they plugged the May 30th Triple A show. Grande Americano versus Grande Americano. Mask versus Mask. Michael had a good thought on here. He goes, "Hey, Corey. So Grande Americano loses and has to take his mask off. Does that mean Bravo and Ryo have to unmask as well?" Corey's like, "What kind of dumb question is that? They're not in this match." But we did have tonight El Grande Americano, Amerikaiser, against Rey Mysterio. And then he goes, "I can't wait to see what this guy looks like when his mask comes off." And Corey goes to squash some old WCW Cole. And then he goes, "Oh, wait, no, you're talking about El Grande. Never mind, not Ray." I laughed so hard. When he said that because he thought he was asking him what Ray looks like without a mask on. He's like, "Let's go watch some old WCW Cole." "Oh, wait, no, you mean El Grande." Fucking, it got me. So the two are going back and forth, and we go to a commercial break. After the break, Ray fought back with Tilt-A-Whirl DDT. Referee was distracted as Ray tried to get rid of Bravo on one side of the ring as Ryo tried placing the metal plate inside of Grande's mask. Ray then gave Ryo a 619 for his troubles. The plate then wound up in the ring. El Grande tried to grab it for himself, but Gable Americano, whatever you want to call him, Gable Grande, showed up and took it away. Ray then shoved El Grande into Gable Grande. So it's Amerikaiser and Gable Grande. That's what I'm calling them. Before giving El Grande 619, springboard splash, dropping the dime and pinning him 1, 2, 3. There we go. Rey Mysterio does get the win. Gable Grande and Amerikaiser then brawl afterwards as officials broke it all up. Still should have been at Mania. I'm going to say it right now. This should have been a match at Mania. But I get doing it at the big AAA show. It works there too. 2 matches were announced for the upcoming Backlash show. Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker and Io Sky versus Asuka, both official. So, Asuka cut a promo. She said she wasn't done with Io yet. She was still Sky's senpai. All she tried to do was help Io, but she only disappointed her instead. Sky was ungrateful, selfish, and her biggest failure. Sky failed Asuka, failed the family. Asuka said, quote, "And now we're both alone because I didn't want another Io." Basically saying, before Kyrie can betray me, I shipped her away. Asuka and Sky killed her. Or Asuka said Sky killed her family, and now nothing would stop Asuka from destroying her. Asuka would teach Sky one final lesson. She would never be ready for Asuka. So I had over Femi versus Grace Waller. It's a total squash match. Femi slammed Waller, hit him with the running uppercut, fall from Grace, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Afterwards, Obafemi cut a promo. Laredo, how's it going? He said he came here and wanted to get an opportunity, but top champions, it was weird. He goes, I came here for an opportunity, but all the champions are tied up with their top contenders. The U.S. champion is no longer doing an open challenge, so I'm going to give an opportunity to somebody. The Obafemi Open Challenge. For anybody to come out and step up to me. But be warned that anybody who does will be punished by the ruler. Crowd was big for Oba, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay. So you're supposed to tell us that, someone's going to step to Oba? Is this a every week thing? Open challenge? When are you doing this? How often are you doing this? What are you doing this for? And what if somebody beats you? Then what? They get what? You're not putting a title on the line because you ain't got one, Bucky. I don't know. This just feels like we don't got much to do with Oba. Like we don't got many plans or any plans. So open challenge, we'll figure it out day of. That's exactly what it sounds like to me. It just sounds like day of, we'll figure out who Oba's going to squash and we'll say it's an open challenge. Eastwood's Gaming Rules with a bit donation. He says, what do you think of Sayakai Karara? First off, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what you're talking about because I can't even say these names. I appreciate I'm going to read your whole thing, but I don't have no response because I don't watch Stardom. Sayakai Karara defeating Saya Kamatani. I know that one. The World Stardom Championship at Stardom All-Star Grand Prix Queendom in what is called Stardom's, quote, upset of the year. I think nothing of it because I don't follow or watch Stardom. Literally don't. I'll see clips maybe sometimes on Twitter, and that's very rare. But I don't follow Stardom, so unfortunately, I got no answer because I got no response because I got no knowledge of the product. We're in the Judgment Days clubhouse, and Roxanne Perez is speaking with Liv Morgan. Morgan wanted to finish the conversation they were having before WrestleMania when they got clonked in the head. She said, you had to sit home and watch from home, and I know what that's like because I had to sit home and watch from home. And she said, yeah, I want you to know that everything's fine and good between us. Finn brought you into this, but we don't like Finn anymore, but I'm a girl. We're family. No matter what happened with Finn, we're family. But Morgan was talking to her in like a condescending way where it's like, oh, the moment Morgan don't need her no more, your fucking ass is out. She's like, and I want to support you. So I'm going to be at ringside for your tag team match tonight. Yeah. The moment Liv's done with you and don't need you, you're done. You're already they're telling us the split's coming. Morgan left. Perez is like, yeah, I trust you. Morgan's like, good. Nodded her head and left. Finn all of a sudden shows up. And Roxanne's like, Finn, you can't be in here. They don't want you in here. And can I trust you? And he's like, you can't trust the Judgment Day. Perez wondered what his motives are. He told him, leave before you get hurt. He's like, hey, get it. But I just want to wish you the best of luck. And don't do anything I wouldn't do, kind of thing. So that tag team match was Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez against Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. They're in Laredo, Texas, the hometown of Roxanne Perez, and she got a fucking hero's welcome. They loved the crap out of their Roxanne Perez. So apparently she got like an honor from the city earlier in the day, which is kind of cool. Cole said that she had like 30 friends and family here in the crowd. For some reason, Corey's like, don't like Cole. I'm like, what? Anyways, President Valkyria got things going early. The babyface Valkyria ran wild a little bit early on to a chorus of boos. Again, Roxanne's supposed to be the heel, but she was cheered the entire match. They went crazy when she would tag in, and yeah, Perez fought back and gave Bayley a Russian leg sweep as Rodriguez and simultaneously hit a big boot, but Valkyria broke up the cover. Perez then knocked Valkyria off the apron and set up Bayley for a pop rocks, but Bayley countered into a Bayley to belly for a 2 after Rodriguez broke up the cover. Valkyria then tackled Rodriguez out of the ring. Morgan then leapt up on the apron, so Bayley went after her. Bayley then grabbed Morgan by the hair, but Morgan jumped up from the floor to break it all up. Bayley then bounced off the ropes as a result. The referee didn't call a DQ, even though Liv was getting all kinds of involved. Distraction allowed Perez to hit the Shining Wizard, a pop rocks, and the pin. 1, 2, 3. Huge pop from the hometown crowd, and she got the win in her hometown. 9.5-minute match. Pretty dang good match. But yeah, crowd made this match for sure better than it was. Like, I'm not saying it was a bad match or anything. Like, it was a good match, but like, it felt bigger than it was because of this crowd cheering for the hometown Roxanne. We then got a Sol Ruka video hyping her up. We then got a graphic that said Sol Ruka signs with Raw next week. And then our main event segment. OTC comes out, Roman Reigns. Big reaction from the crowd on the radio. He said it's been a while since he's been in Texas. If you couldn't tell by watching at home, they love me here. Everybody cheered. Roman said that they made his world title belt in spite of him. They made this world title belt in spite of him. They made it to try and take away his shine, but that didn't work. There was the old saying, and if it was true, quote, title didn't make the man made the title. That's exactly what he does. He did, he is. He put the title in the main event, and on night 2 of WrestleMania, he made the title relevant. And now you could finally be proud of it. Now you could finally choose to acknowledge his title. Reigns told Laredo, acknowledge me. And they did. Fatu would then come out. Reigns said that he gave Fatu a week to think about his decision and hoped he makes the right choice. Reigns hopes that Fatu would choose to unite with the family, not divide the family. Fatu said that he didn't need a week, a day, or even an hour to think about it. Fatu knew exactly what he was doing, where he was coming from, and what he wanted last week. He didn't hesitate. He needed that title. Fatu said that Roman must be stuck in the WWE main event bubble. Reigns didn't grind like he did. 12 years of hard work and suffering, not knowing when the next meal was going to come or from where. While Reigns was running the bloodline, Fatu was broke, foaming out of the mouth, grinding on the front lines, trying to figure out if he would get here or not. Said it wasn't how you started, it's how you finish. And it got him started. And it got him started right here in front of Roman's ass, where he's going to take that title. Said in WWE, Reigns, Jimmy J, none of you called me. Solo called me. Solo helped me get my opportunity and my chance. Roman laughed and said, Solo? Really? You're grateful for Solo? Said, you must be confused or dumber than I thought. Solo can't even get a coffee delivered to the building, let alone get people a job. Roman was the only one who could run this place. Reigns admitted that he got a little distracted because things did get a little hectic. And he did eventually sign off on Jacob coming in. He's like, yeah, Solo may have made the call, but I made the final decision. He said, but now Fatu was sounding like a confused fool. Fatu didn't deserve it and hasn't earned this. Allowing Fatu to compete against him, it would be nepotism at its finest. Before Roman could finish his sentence, well, Jacob would grab him by the throat and put it on the Tongan death grip. Yeah, you heard me right. The Tongan death grip. He then headbutted Roman as he fell to the mat. Fatu then warned Reigns that I would take it all, take everything, take it all from you, Roman. Fatu then held the title up before dropping it on top of Roman. There was a pretty big smattering of boos here, which kind of shocked me a little bit. And Fatu walked off to more boos. Roman down on the mat, grabbed the mic and said, see you at Backlash, Jacob. Before the show ended, Fatu told Reigns off mic, well, get your punk ass next week. So yeah, there we go. It's official. Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line at Backlash in just a couple of weeks. Should be a hell of a match. Should be a hell of a match. With that, I thought Raw was good. Not great, but good. And yeah, let's see what you guys thought of the show. You know what I thought. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought. Well, not just, he says Haku mode, not just Haku. His dad, freaking Tongan Kid, used the Tongan death grip. Jacob's dad used that move. But as far as polls do go, oh, I'm not on the right Twitter account. Threads, 85% liked the show, 25% thought it was just all right, and 20% didn't like it. Looking at the Twitter poll, 60% liked the show, 26% thought it was just all right, and 13% didn't like it. As far as the live poll, no, the community poll does go. 83% liked the show, 9% thought it was just all right, and 8% didn't like it. Corey says, what is nepotism? Basically, when you get preferential treatment because, like for instance, you get special treatment because you have a family member in power. You're friends with somebody that can give you things without you having to earn it. People said for a long time, Charlotte Flair was, nepotism because how close her dad and Triple H were. So Triple H gave her everything she wanted without having to earn it because of who her dad is and how close her dad is to Triple H. Or Roman gets his family things because of who Roman is, or The Rock got all of his family jobs, that kind of stuff. Nepotism is basically getting things handed to you without having to earn it because you have friends or family in positions of power. And as far as the live poll those go, 77% liked the show, 14% thought it was all right, and 9% didn't like it. With that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. With that, we should be back on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. Have a great night. Have a great